This is Brian back with another deck profile. What do we have for you today?
Good afternoon. I'm here today to demonstrate for you pure Dogmatika Ritual with the Photon Hyperdrive support. They received some new toys, including the Dogmatika Albazoa, a new boss and control piece that allows you to send opponents' extra deck monsters to the graveyard or return cards from the field to the hand. So they have to pick, and it's a cast 22 in which you are the only one who benefits. We still also have the access to White Knight Dogmatika and the White Relic, which are control pieces that allow you to use your own extra deck monsters' graveyard effects while continuing to search Dogmatika cards. As for monsters, run 3 Dogmatika Ecclesia the Virtuous. Not only can it special summon itself when an extra deck monster is on the field, which is easy enough to access. Though that does lock you out of the extra deck, it does also have a search and some battle protection. The search is the main value of this card, and there are many ways to pull it off. And the next, one Diviner of the Herald as another potential starter, a good normal summon. Not only can it bait hand traps, sending your extra deck monsters benefits this deck greatly. And changing its level means it's easier to pay for rituals. There are 2 of the Fleur-de-Lis Benighted. Searchable off the Ecclesia or any of the Dogmatika spells, Fleur-de-Lis can special summon itself, it is a negate, and it is a big body that proceeds to boost your other Dogmatika monsters, along with something like White Knight or Albazoa, and easily OTK going second. Next, I'm running Maximus, another combo piece that relies on having extra deck monsters in the graveyard, something very easy for this deck to do. It can often save a hand that would otherwise be suboptimal. And then for monsters, I run a hand trap lineup with 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Effect Veiler, and 2 Bestial Baldrake, which is another form of extra deck hate, which this deck already indulges in plenty of. It's convenient and attribute and level with high stats as well. Alright, next on the spells, 2 Nadir Servant. I only run 2 rather than 3 because you won't always have something to send from the extra deck that qualifies for meeting its cost, but it searches any of the Dogmatika cards, and the thing you send can trigger in the graveyard, so you can get all kinds of advantage. This is another good play starter. 1 Dogmatika Macabre and 2 Dogmatika Calamity. This is the easiest ritual spell to resolve, considering you can send monsters from your extra deck to pay the cost and don't need to deplete resources from your hand and field. The Dogmatika Make card can use resources from your graveyard instead, so it's potentially useful if the game tends to go long. Both these are also named spells, and as such apply to pre-preparation of rites. The main benefit this deck received from Photon Hyperdrive is Dogmatika Matrix. This lets you not only search more Dogmatika cards, and potentially, if your opponent controls a monster, search again. It can send an opponent's extra deck card or your extra deck card to the graveyard, making it an additional form of combo starter. So this gets a lot of things in your deck going, and it's definitely worth seeing the 3. Then for some tech space, I use Called by the Grave to deal with hand traps, Monster Reborn, because usually when you mill an extra deck monster, it can just be a free body. Dogmatika Nation prevents your Dogmatika monsters from being targeted. While Albazoa is unaffected by extra deck monsters, targeting things like Impermanence, Veiler, or main deck options may break your board. So this, you don't need to run this, but it can be good for if you're going first and needing to wall up. Branded and Central Dogmatika is similar, as it's a way to additionally protect your monsters and send more cards from your opponent's extra deck to the graveyard. Not always necessary, but you can really accrue you can be way ahead if they rely on their extra deck and you take out most, if not all of it. And for traps, 2 Dogmatika Punishments. It is searchable. It's a great interruption. You gain advantage from it. And a lot of the extra deck is with different attack stats, you can always resolve punishment. Another tech slot is Dogmatika Turkey. And I'm going to push Shaddoll Schism in here, but the purpose of it is that Shaddoll Schism lets you summon things like Winda, Construct, or Apclone on the opponent's turn. This would also let you make rituals on their turn. It's mainly as a way to play through things like Anti-Spell, but also a tech space you could go without. Next, onto the extra deck. 2 Elder Entity Entis. Not only is it convenient level and type, in the graveyard it'll activate, you can target one card in the field and destroy it. So going second is a great way to pick apart your opponent's board, because you'll be sending things from your extra deck to the graveyard as part of normal plays. Next I run 1 Grand Wignall the Dusk Dragon. It has a graveyard effect that can add or special summon light or dark monsters, or send a light or dark monster from your extra deck or deck to the graveyard. So it's additional combo piece and setup. And being a level 8 is also convenient for banishing it off Dogmatika Maycarver's ritual material. And 1 Garuro Wings of Resonant Life. If it's sent to the graveyard, you draw 1. So this can help you keep accruing advantage. Potentially you can run the side deck Super Poly to use Poly Target as well. In the Shadal package, 1 App Cologne and 1 Linda. App Cologne is a negate, which is solid. The main advantage, though, is milling it to search Schism. And Schism, banishing it and any other dark monster from your graveyard, of which, as you've seen, there are plenty, is special summon Winda on the opponent's turn. A big blocking floodgate with protection. Between the Dogmatic stuff you've already made and Winda, most of the time the opponent will simply be able to do nothing. They're on 1 Titaniclad. It's one of the best things to send because the end phase it'll special summon the Dogmatika. So you can special summon Ecclesia and then search Fleur-de-Lis, and you already have a play and follow up for next turn, even if all you've got to do is mill your own Titaniclad. Also for punishment targets, Cyberdark End Dragon and Barbaros, if they're the highest attack stat and highest level, so you can use level 12 to get to Albazoa easily with the Dogmatic Calamity Ritual spell. And if you have to know, but the resolve punishment, nothing's going to be more than 5,000 attack, so you're guaranteed to get to destroy. Also, both these don't have a must-be fusion summon, so you can Monster Reborn them in a pinch to get some more damage on the board. As for links, I run Albarage and Secure Gardener. Albarage lets you link off things like Ecclesia or Diviner to get an extra deck monster on the field, so your Dogmatikas can special summon themselves and such, activate, so the more extra deck monsters are out, the more ready you are to play. So converting a normal summon to your extra deck, and then linking it off further to get one in the graveyard for a Dogmatika Maximus, or just a banish material even, can be very convenient. Then on the Synchros, Psy-Frame Lord Omega. It's very rare to actually make this, considering Diviner's level is usually not going to actually be 2. But it can return banished cards to your graveyard as its own graveyard effect, and since you're milling the extra deck off, and this will resolve. And finally, 2 Herald of the Arc Light. It can add a ritual monster and ritual spell when sent from your extra deck to the graveyard, so it's a great advantage, and can make you continue to extend plays. Now I'll demonstrate a quick combo.
Trust me, that skill drain hurt a lot of people.
So what you can do with 1 Nadir Servant. Activate it, sending Herald. Ecclesia, then Herald will resolve in the graveyard. And you can get a Dogmatic Calamity and an Albazoa. Normal summon Ecclesia, and you can add pretty much anything of your choice. But at this point, I like to take the Fleur-de-Lis for follow-up. But for a ritual combo in this case, I would take the new spicy new card, Dogmatika Matrix. So activate Dogmatika Matrix. When this card's activated, you add 1 Dogmatic ritual monster or spell. So if you didn't get either of these, I would usually also take for future plays because it can use the graveyard Maycard. And using Calamity, I can just mill from the extra deck to summon Albazoa. At a level 12, all I need is 1 material. And then Dogmatika Matrix. I control Dogmatic Ritual, so I can mill another card. It could be from my opponents, but I like to get more set up on my own by sending Titaniclad. At the end phase, this will get me another Dogmatika. For this one, I can activate Albazoa. Going first, the opponent will have no monster on the field and will have to send 8 cards from their extra deck to the graveyard. So I already have a protected boss, I've ripped their extra deck, and I'm going to get either a negate, a trap, or some form of follow-up from this during the end phase off of one card. There are many other plays I can do, but that would take more time and explanation. The general concept of this deck is the same, depleting both players' extra decks in a way that keeps netting you advantage, while the opponent gets none.
So, do you have anything to say to any beginners?
Yes. As a control deck, you have to manage your resources. Don't rip through your own extra deck too quick. Expect to get hand trapped at multiple points. The deck does have a lot of things that do search, like the Calamity spell, Nadir Servant, and Ecclesia. So getting interrupted is not the end of the world. Remember to think ahead. And don't be afraid to get aggressive. Sure, the level 8 and 4 rituals may not have a high attack stat, but between Albazoa and the extra deck monsters you're able to summon, it's very quick to close out games, especially with a floor-to-lead boost. Don't be afraid to go first or second. Manage your resources. The deck will get a lot better, a lot more versatile with the Cyberstorm Access support later on, so it hasn't reached its true potential yet, but definitely worth a watch. It's a surprisingly good matchup with a lot of top decks today, though of course struggles with things like Kashtaron and Labyrinth. It can definitely steal some games.
Well, that's Dogmatika. Hit like and subscribe. Catch you on the flip side.